I will now call to order the Board of the Housing Authority of Clackamas County. Resident Commissioner Ann Leestra will not be joining us this morning. The board is designated as a governing body for the Housing Authority and will act as the Budget Committee. Will the members of the Budget Committee? No, we don't need to introduce ourselves because we are all here. It is just the Board of County Commissioners sitting as the Housing Authority today. I will now ask Tony Carter, Housing and Community Development Division Director for the Housing Authority, to present the budget message. And I notice Department Director Rod Cook is here with us too. Thank you both for coming. Go ahead, whoever wants to go first.
Okay, I just want to make sure you can hear me okay through the mask.
Yes, I can
Okay,
hear that.
Perfect. Okay. Rod's going to do an introduction, and then I'll take over on the budget piece.
And I'll do this more for public because I know that you are on the Housing Authority Board. You know this, but I'll read it for public consumption. The Housing Authority is a municipal corporation established under Oregon Revised Statutes, Chapter 456, to provide low-cost housing to individuals meeting criteria established by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. It might be referred as HUD later on in the presentation. HAC, our Housing Authority, under the criteria of the Government Accounting Standards, is considered a component unit of Clackamas County, Oregon, because the Board of County Commissioner plus up to 2 community board members also governs Housing Authority. Housing Authority reports to the county as a blended component unit since the county's HCS, Health, Housing, and Human Services Department management has operational responsibility for the Housing Authority. And that's why I'm sitting here today. The Housing Authority 2023-24 agency-wide budget meets the requirements set forth by HUD's Financial Management Handbook for Public Housing Authorities. The budget is organized by HAC's functions: 1, low-rent public housing; 2, development; 3, central office or administration; 4, Section 8 housing choice voucher program; 5, programmatic grants; and then 6, local projects. The proposed budget is $87,032,700. It's for fiscal year 23-24 and consists of federal, metro, and local funds, but includes no county general funds. And with that, I'll hand it over to our Housing Authority Executive Director, Tony Carter.
Great. So our 2023 major accomplishments are that all of the projects listed on this slide are anticipated to be fully leased in fiscal year 24. Fuller Station and Tukwila, as you already know, are already fully leased and stabilized. Good Shepherd, Maple, and Merrillhurst will collectively fully lease during the fiscal year, adding a total of 414 new affordable housing units to the county. In a later slide, I will update you on all the new construction coming during fiscal year 22-24 that will make us exceed our original goal of 1,500 units. By the end of fiscal year 24, we hope to serve roughly 70% of our total goal to serve under the Supportive Housing Services Tri-County IGA and Implementation Plan under our Regional Long-Term Rent Assistance Program. We hope to exceed this expectation, but we feel we have set realistic goals in this budget cycle given the market conditions, client barriers, case management capabilities, and development of new affordable housing units. We anticipate reaching or exceeding the 100% mark of families housed per the IGA in fiscal year 25. For federal awards, the Housing Authority will continue to seek and apply for additional and new rental assistance opportunities this coming year. However, congressional funding dictates if funding opportunities will be available. Our performance Clackamas measures, you can see that the percentage of households that maintain stable housing had decreased this past year to 92%. The decline in housing stability was anticipated given COVID moratoriums on evictions had ended. Emergency rental assistance has been depleted. The market is flooded with households searching which is outpacing the units available, and landlords are increasing rents to their maximum potential that is well above the 80% area median income of affordability. We will continue to work with case management and landlord outreach to see improvement in the coming year. And then if you look at our development goals, we are definitely on target to meet or exceed those in the next coming year. We anticipate exceeding the affordable housing development goals set forth in our strategic plan, with less than 300 units expected to remain to be completed in the following fiscal year of '25. Our significant policy and financial issues that we will face in this coming fiscal year are our moving to work status change. The Housing Authority is restructuring from a very restricted funding that can now be used in a way more determined by our county as the best way to end homelessness. While this is exciting work, it'll take us over a year to completely restructure our systems to meet our county's unique needs. The Regional Long-Term Rent Assistance Program, I want to note that our county is keeping pace with our peers in meeting those needs while we are still structuring with staffing our program to meet the needs, and we hope to be fully staffed by the end of fiscal year '23 or early fiscal year '24. For development, it's been very busy, and it's going to continue to be a very busy year next year. This coming year, we will process Metro funds for new development in our county. We are excited to report the following new projects will be underway in the coming fiscal year. Hillside Park Public Housing, consisting now of only 100 units, will be demolished and upgraded with new construction of 500 new units to the county. This is a net increase of 400 new housing units. We will be starting the Lake Grove, also known as the Boones Ferry Project, is going to be underway with construction of 50 new affordable housing units. And then in Wilsonville, TOD project is going to be underway with 121 new units. And then we will be beginning Phase 1 of repositioning our Clackamas Heights 100 units of public housing to increase density and improve our affordable housing stock. It's a summary of our revenue expenses. I'm going to just go over, highlight those items that had maybe a 10% increase or more. If you have other questions at the end, I'm happy to go over them. Dwelling rent is anticipated to go up because the sunset of the pandemic and household incomes are increasing. And since our rent programs are based on income and a family pays 30% of their income towards rent, and there are no more COVID waiver moratoriums on paying your rent, we're anticipating we should see an increase in rental revenues. Housing assistance payments for all our voucher types, we are expecting to see an increase in the amount HUD will provide to support existing vouchers and the new vouchers. Mostly because our fair market rents are going up. I can't see because of steaming, sorry. Our fair market rents are going up every year for our area because of the rent increases you're seeing. We have a tight rental market, so HUD bases our rental revenue that they give us based on those fair market rents. So when rents go up, we get more from HUD. The Regional Long-Term Rent Assistance budget, as you will see, it has the largest increase. This is 977%. And I'd like to explain that last year we made a very conservative assumption. We slowly ramped up our program based upon what we had at the time, which was our loan from the county of $10 million. We then saw that as money was coming in from Metro, we started building on the program very quickly and ramping up to catch up with our peers, and we have done that. So for this year, we made our projections based on actual receipts from this prior year, so that's why the increase in the budget is so substantial. Other in-kind is for development fees, and as we develop more projects, the more development fees we will be getting in the future. But we also have what's called management fees. Now that these projects are over, we get a little bit of a management fee. So we've separated those two things out in two separate budget line items. So it made a little difference to the budget appearance, but the flow of money is not that great of a change. Expenditures, again, the regional long-term rent assistance, because we're receiving good funding, we anticipate this flow will increase the households we serve. And so for the new board members, I just want to note, we used a loan from the county as our estimated budget, and the Metro proceeds were not known, and now we are using actual factual projections and helping more families. Personnel services went down, which may seem counterintuitive, but that is because last year when we did our budget, we did a flat 15% increase, and we chose not to do that this year. We used actual personnel costs that we got through the finance department. Material services line items reflects a decrease due to a redistribution of administrative costs. If you can remember that last year, the Supportive Housing Services Program, we basically got it underfoot under the Housing Authority, and now we've kind of split it up. We're all under the Housing and Community Development, but the county is operating the Supportive Housing Services grant money coming in from Metro directly. So I had to kind of shift that out of the budget this year. Okay. This pie chart shows our revenues and expenses. While HUD programs continue to be a significant part of the Housing Authority's funding, they are not growing at the same pace as our local resources. Public housing funding has remained flat for the past few years, while HUD voucher funding has increased through the issuance of specialty vouchers, such as the VASH, Veterans Housing, Mainstream, Foster Youth, and Emergency Housing vouchers. The expenses, the largest portion of our expenses are development projects that make up Metro bond funds that we receive, and then we flow through to the development projects. And that ends my presentation, if you have any questions.
Thank you very much. I will open it up to Commissioner questions and comments. Commissioner Schrader, you're up.
I just wanted to check the Boone's Ferry in that's in Lake Oswego, and is that the Habitat project?
I'm not sure of that.
Okay, I'm just wondering.
I don't think it is.
I don't think it is, it's a different one. Okay, I was just curious about that. The other thing that came to mind when you were talking about HUD money and other dollars, we just had a discussion about tax increment financing, and what we have done actually in the area on 82nd, where we had a whole big pocket of poverty. I'm going blank on the name of the place, but it was, they had issues with roads, with sewers, so on and so forth. It's the North Clackamas Revitalization Area. Have you folks ever used or thought to do anything with DTD, Department of Transportation and Development, with TIF financing to identify pockets of poverty or where you really want to see a neighborhood revitalized but not gentrified? Has that been something we've ever talked about?
I'm sure we have talked about it. I know we are talking about it with the Hillside, Milwaukee
okay.
area, because we have to redo all the roads and structure
Okay.
in there.
Okay.
Thank you. You talked about Hillside in Milwaukee, 100 units. You're going to expand that to 400 units. At Clackamas Heights, there's 100 units. And what's your expansion plans on that to what? How many units?
We're just in the very beginning phases, so we'll have to do that whole planning process, but we're hoping to do something similar.
Okay.
It's a similar size lot, 20 acres with only 100 units on it.
Yeah.
So we have a
Good.
lot of potential there.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Commissioner Scholl, do you have something?
Yeah, I see. Okay, I see total revenues up 24.5, total expenditures up 24.5. I don't see anything on here as regarding a reserve funds. Does the Housing Authority have any reserve funds on hand?
We have what's called HUD-held reserves. HUD has a bank account that they keep. They don't give us all our money up front. They only give us as we spend it, and then I always keep at least a 3-month reserve just in case, like, if we have a government shutdown, I have a 3-month reserve on bank.
So that money is on call to the Clackamas Housing Authority?
Correct.
Okay, okay. And then one other question. When you speak about the new construction projects, are those projects funded at least to the end of calendar year 2025? Or is some of the funds for those projects still pending some sort of approval?
So yes, those projects aren't actually under construction, and they're not closed yet. So yes, they will flow into 2025 as well.
Okay, what I'm trying to get at here, when we look at this budget for this upcoming fiscal year, the funds for the projects that you anticipate to build through the end of calendar year 2025, the money for them, are you assured that that money will be available to achieve those goals?
Yes, those are the Metro Bond funds.
Okay, so that's, okay, good, thank you.
Commissioner West.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
Early on, or even into last year, there was a lot of criticism, maybe it's politics, that Clackamas County was not spending its supportive housing service Metro Bond funds. And I'm wondering if I'm looking at this correctly on whatever page this is, this one. You talked about, and the 977.1% increase, that page. And then we were waiting to get, it was my understanding, waiting to get the actual funds for Metro, which really took a little bit to actually get those rolled out. To get all this up and running was not the fastest of processes, and it's understandable why. My question is, I know that Clackamas County hasn't been the only jurisdiction that has had trying to figure out how to spend a large amount of money with very little infrastructure. I know Multnomah County and the media has recently struggled with this. Am I correct that, one, we are now utilizing these funds at a greater rate than our neighboring counties like Multnomah County? Is that correct? And is this $10 million here, is that part of the loan that we got to the county to help backfill the funds? Am I understand that correctly?
Yes, when,
Even if Adam wants to pop up and explain, or whoever, but I'm trying to like wrap my whole brain around this whole, it's been a little convoluted and interesting, so I don't know if you could walk us through that, whatever I'm talking about here, yeah.
Commissioner, thank you. Adam Brown, Deputy Director, Health, Housing, and Human Services. So this is largely a function of the cadence of tax collections and how Clackamas County has built its programming in alignment with the actual revenue coming in. So, the tax went into effect January 1st, 2021, but the collections didn't really start materializing until really into 2022, right? It was a function of implementing a new tax. And then the bulk of the collections actually didn't come in until April, right, towards the end of last fiscal year. So as a way to bridge that and get some of the programming up and running, Clackamas County sought a loan of $10 million to do its initial programmatic ramp up, right? And so that's the $10 million that you see on the page. Now that collections now are coming in at a more regular pace, and our programming has been largely built. So for next fiscal year, you'll see the supportive housing services budget show up in two places. You see it partially here in the housing authority's budget, where the housing authority is effectively functioning as a service provider, right, of the regional long-term rent assistance program, certain resident services programming. And so we're passing through for next fiscal year about $13 million worth of SHS funds to the housing authority. But then you'll also see SHS programming commitments in the H3S budget as well, which is where the bulk of it is. But we're doing a really great job of ramping up that programming. And so for next fiscal year, we have largely committed to ongoing programs and services the anticipated ongoing revenue amount. So we still know that we've had this accumulation of a one-time balance of funds while we're building up the programming, but on an ongoing basis, and to the credit of the Housing Authority, which is a huge part of this, building the Regional Long-Term Rent Assistance Program, we largely have that anticipated ongoing amount committed to ongoing programs and services for next fiscal year.
Thank you for explaining that. I'm done.
Any further questions? Thank you very much. I will now open the public hearing. I will begin with those present in person. Anybody in the room who wishes to testify? Seeing none. Tony, is there anyone on Zoom?
If you would like to testify on the Housing Authority budget, please use the raise hand feature, and I will call on you in the order received. Madam Chair, I do not have any hands raised.
Thank you, Tony. Seeing no one who wishes to speak, I will now close the public hearing. Do any of the members of the committee have questions or further discussion? I will now entertain a motion.
Chair, I move that the committee approve the 2023-24 budget for the Housing Authority of Clackamas County in the amount of $87,032,700.
Thank you.
Second.
Commissioner Scholl has moved that the committee approve fiscal year 23-24 budget for the Housing Authority of Clackamas County in the amount of $87,300,000, excuse me, I'm going to start that over. 87,032.
Nope, million.
I know, yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself, yes. $87,032,700, seconded by Commissioner Schrader. Thank you very much. Further discussion?
Chair Smith?
Yes.
I have one question. I have to ask this question before we go to the poll. It has to do with the $10 million ARPA money. Just to make sure the question is asked, would it be prudent to move that back, replace that money with supportive housing services money? I know that might not be something you want to hear, but I have to ask the question because somebody's going to ask me that question. What do you think?
Commissioner, I suspect that you're referring to the $10 million request for ARPA for the affordable housing development at Hillside Park, right?
Yeah.
So the supportive housing services revenue is not allowable to be used for
Okay.
affordable housing
Good.
development.
Good. That was easy. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, Tony, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schull,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye, motion passes 4-0. Thank you very much. Is there
Thank
any
you,
further?
Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further business before this particular committee? Seeing none, we are adjourned.